We're going to kick off. The event is already started, so welcome everyone to our OMMA Election Town Hall IMA. We wanted to have this just for a chance to get the candidates a chance to kind of come up on stage and kind of talk about their platforms. As many of you know, we've been campaigning for the last week and a half on a new OMMA election section within the LAMINA1 Discord, and we have about 11 candidates, 9 of whom have been pretty active in the channels, working to try to secure a spot on the Open Metaverse Monetary Authority. So for those unfamiliar, the Open Metaverse Monetary Authority is responsible for controlling the inflation schedule of the network and can make changes to the token issuance and update the unlock rate of all locked RL1 and LL1 tokens on the network. So it's a big kind of economic seat for the community members. We're in the process of, selecting one community seat now. We're going to be electing another community seat for this board in Q4 2024. And they'll basically be joining one representative from the LAMINA1 core team and one representative from the Open Metaverse Foundation to basically inform and advocate on economic decision-making for the entirety of the LAMINA1 community at large. For folks who are interested in learning more about the election process and all of that stuff, we've got a voting guide that kind of walks you through a ton of this kind of stuff, right? So I'll do a quick screen share now and do a quick screen share here. We've got a voting guide that basically shows you everything from, what the elections are going to be, as well as UI walkthroughs. For folks who haven't checked this in a little bit, we actually have UI walkthroughs for all of the phases. So if you want a sneak peek on how voting will actually work when it unlocks next Tuesday, you can kind of check that guide out. And if we have time at the end here, we can kind of go over that. But I think the most important thing that we wanted to do today, obviously, is just kind of hear from our candidates, dive deep into some of their campaign policies, what they're campaigning on. We've got EdKeyes and Orochii Ionode currently kind of on the channel right now who are really willing to talk. We've got a couple of other candidates who said that they'd be happy to join potentially in the chat, so keep an eye out. And yeah, if you guys want to drop questions in the chat while our candidates are talking, feel free. We're going to kind of kick off with some initial questions, and then we're going to kind of open it up to the floor to the rest of the community. So I've got basically a series of 5 questions. Our candidates have been provided these in advance, and I guess we'll just kind of start out with each candidate getting about 2 minutes each to respond to the following questions. So Ed, Orochii, you guys ready?
Absolutely.
What about you, Orochii? You ready to jump into some questions?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, excellent. So kicking off with Ed, just quick introduction. Introduce yourself. Who are you and why are you running for the Open Metaverse Monetary Authority election?
Sure. So my name is EdKeyes. You might know me by my very creative Discord handle, EdKeyes. I've been a LAMINA1 community member almost since the beginning, like the first week of the server. Launched a few of my own projects on LAMINA1 under the Autocash and Block.lol brands. As for why I'm running, kind of everybody just sort of said I should. I've kind of already been doing a job of monitoring the blockchain, participating in a lot of the tokenomics discussions. So I think I'd be able to do a pretty good job at being a board member. And I'm just kind of seeing this as kind of a next level of trying to help out the platform and the community.
Fabulous. And Orochii, same question. Introduce yourself. Who are you and why are you running for the OMMA election?
Yes, I'm Orochii, with over 14 years of experience in IT within the banking and financial sector. Currently, I am a founder of the Ionode Vietnam and actively contributing to blockchain project. I'm running to OMMA to help ensure transparent and
Ooh, I think you might have cut out, unfortunately. You may need to check your connection slightly. I will say Orochii has been with the L1 community for a really long time too, though. They were one of our initial validators in BetaNet. Yeah, super active as well. Orochii, let me know when you're back because I want to just make sure that we're giving you the time that that you deserve as a candidate. Technical difficulties. All right. Let's see here. I'm gonna just message them in case he's still talking and doesn't realize that we can't hear him. Oh, it sounds like you might be back. Orochii, can you test the mic one more time?
hello.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, your audio cut out like halfway through your introduction. Do you mind going again?
I'm Ivystive again.
Yeah, can you just please answer the
Yeah.
question again, just because, yeah, it cut out. I want to make sure that everyone was able to hear your response.
Yes. Introduce myself. I'm Orochii with over 15 years of experience in the IT within the banking and financial sector. Currently, I am the founder of Ionode Vietnam and activity contributing to blockchain project. I'm running for
Oh, you cut out again, Orochii. Right after I'm running for.
yes. Simply have to focus the pharmaceutical focus. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. All right, so we've got
Yeah.
kind of two very distinct kind of positions here from our two candidates who've decided to show up. Let's move on to question number 2 next. Again, starting with Ed, what factors do you believe should be influencing changes to issuance, RL1, and LL1 unlock rates on the network?
Yeah, so the way that I like to think about the token is kind of in three priorities. So first and foremost, I consider L1 as like a utility token for the blockchain. Second, it's a medium of exchange between users and creators on the platform. And then kind of in third priority, it's an investment in the platform itself. So as a utility token, one of the big things that I've seen in other blockchains like Ethereum is where like just the gas fees to mint an NFT is $30 or something like that, and it just slows down the whole economy. So I definitely want to make sure that the token remains inexpensive for its utility uses. I don't think we're going to have a problem with that in any sort of the short term. So that's not a big consideration. For as a medium of exchange, I consider it valuable for the token price to be stable so that users kind of know what their costs are going to be on the platform. Traders know what their income is going to be for participating in it, and kind of everybody doesn't have to just kind of recalculate everything all the time and rebalance the economy every time the market price changes. So reducing volatility is a primary consideration. And then third on the list, we do want to make sure that we're adequately rewarding people who've put their own resources and their own time and effort into the platform. So that could be rewarding them with additional tokens, or it could be coming from increasing the values of the tokens that they already have. But we do want to make sure that there's something in this for the people who have put their own resources at stake here.
Right. And Orochii, same question. What factors do you believe should influence changes to things like issuance, RL1, and LL1 unlock rates on the network? What's your stance on this? Orochii Ionode, you're up for question number 2. What factors do you believe should influence changes to issuance, RL1, and LL1 unlock rates on the network?
Yes, I think supply and demand, ecosystem proof, and market stability. The key is the maintaining a balance between growth and inflation. I think so.
Fabulous. All right. Short and sweet response to that one. Question number 3, Ed, back to you. What is your stance on inflation within the LAMINA1 economy? Like, should OMMA prioritize keeping issuance low and unlock rates high, or speed things up to fuel ecosystem growth?
Yep. So I'm actually worried a bit about inflation, just because of the way that the tokenomics has been designed. The staking system is continually pumping additional tokens into the economy, and all of the tokens, both existing and future rewards, are continually unlocking more and more. So basically, you've kind of designed a quadratic growth in the circulating supply. And as yet, there's really nowhere for those tokens to go except back into the staking system or out onto the exchanges to be sold, which will, drop the market price and kind of lead to the inflation sort of scenarios. So this worries me. Unfortunately, I'm not really sure how much OMA is going to be able to address this. It's kind of a situation of, hey, you bought the ticket, you take the ride. All of these kind of design parameters of the tokenomics were known ahead of time, and people have kind of made important decisions based on them already. So kind of my baseline stance for OMA is that the rates probably should not change unless we have a good reason to predict that doing so will actually improve things. Just because we don't want to put platform users in the situation of needing to have the rules change underneath their feet for no good reason.
Mhm. And Orochii, what's your
Yes,
response to that question? Do you think we should prioritize keeping issuance low and unlock rates high, or do you believe we should be speeding things up to fuel ecosystem growth? Orochii, you have 2 minutes to respond to the question. Orochii, are you there? Do you have a stance on inflation within the
hello.
Lemon economy? Yeah, we can hear you. Um,
Yes, I hear you. Okay, I'm
okay.
Ivys.
Yeah,
Okay.
what's your stance on inflation? Do you think we should keep issuance low and unlock rates high, or would you like to speed things up and make unlock rates lower to fuel ecosystem growth?
Yes, yes. Um, it needs to be well managed. Keep
Mhm.
in ensure low have maintained value. But adjustment may be necessary to support growth. I support to flexible policy based on the market data. Yes,
Okay, great. Yeah, so following market data to um, inform that decision. Next question, we'll jump over to Ed. Do you have experience modeling or analyzing token economies? If so, what is that experience and how will that inform your role on the Open Metaverse Monetary Authority board?
So I do have a general kind of scientific training background, so I'm generally comfortable with modeling mathematical systems in general. Like I've already put together some spreadsheets to try to understand the staking system and stuff like that. But I do have to admit that I don't have any specific experience with tokenomics and designing those types of systems. And just to put all my cards on the table, honestly, I find a lot of crypto economics to be kind of suspicious. Just kind of more and more convoluted ways of finding new suckers to hold the bag for people to cash out. So I'm not necessarily sure that experience in tokenomics is actually a positive thing here for designing this economy.
Mhm.
Um, but that being said, I do think that value in mathematical modeling and just kind of understanding general economic principles will get us a long way.
Orochii Ionode, same question to you. Do you have experience modeling or analyzing token economies? If so, how will you use that to inform your policies?
Um, I have experience to analyze data and financial model. I will use quantitative ana- analysis and on-chain data to make informed decision. If need, I will consult expert and communicate. Yes.
Right. And final question from the pre-selected question round. Ed, how would you as a candidate work to bridge the interests of the Open Metaverse Monetary Authority board and the Lamina1 community at large?
So I think I've already been acting as a really good kind of helper in the community, kind of explaining a lot of the tokenomics policies to people, debating the white papers as they come out. So my hope here is I'd be able to kind of absorb and collate a lot of the community opinions for what they want from OMMA and bring that to the board, as well as kind of in the opposite direction, being able to interpret and explain the actions that we take and why we're doing that. And I guess one thing I wanted to mention is that in the governance system, the staking whales have a lot of the voting power. But I really do plan to pay attention to the whole community, just because even if you don't have vote tokens, everybody can vote with their feet. And like that's a really good thing that we have to pay attention to as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Orochii Ionode, how would you as a candidate work to bridge the interests of the Lamina1 community with the board if you were to be elected?
Yes. I will always listen to the communicators, promote transparency, and ensure that any change well communicated, rational, and be beneficial for entire ecosystem.
Great. Um, from here, we're going to move on to more of an open Q&A. Jackal Girl in particular has dropped a number of kind of questions that we can kind of follow up with here in the kind of final minutes of I guess it's more of a debate than a roundtable with two candidates. But Jackal Girl's first question for our candidates, again, we'll start with you, Ed. Will you be pressuring Lamina1 to seek outside investment that you will want to go into swap or exchange pools? I'm not sure what the end of that question is. AI that there is liquidity to extract?
Yeah, so right, what I think Jacopo is getting at is that right now a lot of the exchanges are pretty light on liquidity, just relatively
Yep.
small changes trades can move the market price a lot. So whether it would be worthwhile to have the team kind of put extra funds into that to stabilize the price and allow trades to happen without that impact. The DEX is actually much more stable than the other exchanges. It has a pretty decent liquidity pool in a fairly narrow range. So that's actually a positive change that I've seen recently. Um, it's a difficult question because I don't actually want just us. The team has a limited supply of investment, and using that to develop and build things versus just using it to put into liquidity pools and have people cash out is not a really good trade in my opinion. But we do need to have the exchanges be liquid enough so that people can come into the community. And one important principle that comes up in software development a lot is when you're talking about asking people to adopt a new application or something like that, making it easy to exit actually helps adoption because people see it as a two-way door where they don't have to commit to a new platform if they see that, oh well, I can try this out for a while, and then if I don't like it, I can get my money back and go somewhere else. So even if we want to build to bring people here and build a community, having a good path for those people to be able to leave and advertising that as something that's available to them actually can help adoption too. So I don't have a great answer here, unfortunately, but I do think that trading pool liquidity is something that we do need to pay attention to, is bottom line.
Great. And Orochii Ionode, what's your stance on this? Do you think we need to be looking more at liquidity pools and investing to deepen those pools any further? Do you have an economic stance on that question? Orochii,
Could you believe you big question?
The question is, will you be pressuring LAMINA1 to seek outside investment that you will want to go into swap or exchange pools? Like, do you believe that the network could use some more liquidity in our current exchanges? Right now, we have 3 exchanges up, one on Gate, MEXC, and as well as LFJ. Do you have a stance on whether or not those pools should be expanded, deepened, whether we should be seeking more investment in those pools? It's the first question in Jackal Girl's response in the chat, if you want to read it. I'll post it in the chat here for you.
Yes, please check. Okay, let's just see.
Also, props to you, Ionode, for taking this, what I assume is very late at night your time, and doing this entire debate in your non-native language. Major props.
Yes. I'm no ensure Lameda to resist outside invest. Yes, I'm not.
All right, let's move on to question number 2 from Jackal Girl, which is, do you think we should be pressuring LAMINA1 to market the token as a form of investment so that, for example, people are encouraged to provide liquidity for farmers to extract?
Yep. So the short answer, no. I think that we want to think about the token as kind of like an investment, but more in terms of rewarding the people who are actually participating in the community and kind of holding tokens naturally as part of that process. I don't, I'm not, I would not encourage just investment for the sake of investment. The people who don't really care about the platform and just want to put money in on day one and take money out on day 1000 and have it uh, increase in time. Like that's really not the sort of folks that we want to get in the platform in my opinion. Just because I see the token as like primarily a means of exchange and just only secondarily an investment. Um, so I'm hoping that we want it to be an investment because the people who are here are providing value and generating value, and at some point they'll want to get a little bit of that back. But their real investment is in their time and effort rather than in their resources, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Orochii, Ionode, what do you think? Do you think we should be pressuring LAMINA1 to market the token more as a form of investment? I'm copying and pasting the full question in the chat for you. Orochii, Ionode, do you have a response to this question? Do you think we should be that LAMINA1 should be pressured to market the token as a form of investment?
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, we can
Yes.
hear you.
I don't support seeking outside investment, so to create liquidity for short-term profit extraction. LAMINA1 role should be build a sustainable ecosystem where liquidity is driving naturally by a real demand from user.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a really kind of simple question that I actually just kind of pulled from my own thoughts that I think will be interesting to discuss with. In terms of staking incentives and rewards unlocks, do you think that current staking rewards are too high, too low, or just right? Same with unlock rates. Do you think they're too high, too low, or just right? Like, what are your specific policies on those two factors? Ed?
Yep, great question. So my answer is a little bit nuanced. I think the rewards are too low in the short term and too high in the long term. Let me explain that. So the staking takes liquid L1 out of circulation for a while, but it takes quite a while to get your investment back in terms of liquid L1. So in that sense, the staking rewards are low. But on the flip side, as you're doing this, you're piling up a huge amount of locked RL1, which you own but won't be liquid until the future. So that's like a large staking reward, like with a very high APR, but it's not really useful to you yet. And we've also got, very long period stakes, 10 years, that are just going to be earning more and more tokens basically forever. So in this case, we're under rewarding the people in the short term who are here now, and we're writing a lot of checks that the future LAMINA1 economy is going to have to cash. Kind of piling up these tokens that are going to become liquid in the future without very much ability to change that trajectory. Um, so I don't have an answer here, and I'm not sure that OMMA even has the knobs to turn to fix this. This is built into the staking system at a very fundamental level, and built into the locked tokens at a very fundamental level. It's not how I would have designed things, and I did provide feedback when all the white papers came out, but it's something that I'm uncomfortable with, and it's something we're going to be keeping an eye on, basically.
Fabulous. And Orochii Ionode, same question to you. And again, I will post these in the chat for you as well. But do you think current staking rewards are too low, too high, or just right? And same question, do you think unlock rates are too high, too low, or just right?
Yes. Currently, nearly 14% of the total L1 supply is touched, indicating a high level of the participation. This suggests that the tagging reward likely at a reasonable level. However, if excessive inflation or liquidity issue arise, I could consider adjusting the insurance rate or incentive, incentive, incentivizing long-term tagging to ensure the ecosystem sustainability. Yeah.
Great. Next question. I think this is an important one because I think we have a lot of different types of builders, creators, community members, right? So I wanted to ask, how do you plan on weighing the needs or sort of desires of builders, creators, and even sort of degens and farmers differently when making economic decisions?
So one category that I would also include there is the users, basically, because the builders and the creators need them in a symbiotic relationship in this platform. You know, nothing is going to annoy a creator more than making something amazing and then not being able to find an audience for it. So I'm really looking at kind of the health of the platform as a whole in that sense, where you're really wanting to connect up those two categories of people together and keep both of them happy. Um, Degens are a little tougher. Like I think they can provide some value in the right circumstances, but they can also be kind of a drain on the system too. So my general policy is to not really plan to cater to them unless we can see some benefits from doing so.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, what's your stance, Orochii? Ionode?
Yes. I believe a strong ecosystem requires balancing the interest of all the participants. Builder needs adequate funding to develop substantial projects. Creator require adjusted prevented model to drive content creation. This six high diversity but should that that ability that violates the bucket. Every ecosystem every eco no 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 every economic decision should be data price and consider the long-term impact on the entire ecosystem. Yes.
Thanks so much for your response. And let's see. Another one from Jackal Girl, I think, that's pretty interesting that she put into the chat as well is if there is a demand to sell the token, will you prioritize that over building? What are your priorities on that front? Again, that's from Jackal Girl.
I'm not sure I really see the thrust of that question. I mean, to sell the token, it is on sale in the open market right now. So I definitely don't think we should stop that. We need to have trades from other currencies in both directions. So I guess I don't really see the dichotomy that she's trying to ask about here. Could you clarify?
Yeah, she says it's from the idea of let the market decide. It sounds like she's typing, so let's give her a second to clarify that question. In the meantime, while she's sort of clarifying, Orochii, do you have a sort of strong opinion on sort of like, if the market's demanding to sell the token, will you prioritize the sort of market's desire to sell the token over the desire to kind of protect the interests of builders on the network.
Gotcha. I think I see what you're getting at. That
Mhm.
like if we had a finite pool of funds, would we support the token in the market as opposed to using those funds for building?
Uh-huh.
My general instinct is to not do that. I'm a big fan of kind of the free market in terms of, kind of letting the token price find its own level. Um, with the caveats that some amount of um, kind of volatility mitigation is usually warranted there. Like in the short term, don't want it to be volatile, but in the long term, you want it to find its own level. Is kind of my philosophy.
Great. Same question to you, Orochii Ionode. How do you feel about, what would you prioritize, the demand to sell the token or fund building on the network?
Mm. No, I could not prioritize selling visual over building. A strong ecosystem of building on real utility, innovation, and long-term value creation, not just market liquidity. Short-term selling effect is a market dynamic, but the long-term success of the LAMINA1 depend on the continuous building and innovation. Yes.
Great. And yeah, we've got about 4 minutes left in the time that I had scheduled for this. So I think I'm just going to close it with just an open floor prompt for each of you. Is there sort of anything else that you want to kind of close with, or anything that you wish we'd asked tonight that you'd like to speak on before we close out the session? Ed?
Let's see. So I do think that I should protest on behalf of Potter, who, due to undeserved prejudice against non-human candidates, is not able to even join the server to participate in his own campaign. So, my heart goes out to him.
Yeah, Potter, I will say, just as an FYI, Potter, one of our other candidates, who's being run by community member CD, has thrown in full support for EdKeyes and is sort of running, and they actually messaged to make sure that I mentioned that for them within the session. Orochii Ionode, any closing thoughts or topics that you want to address before we close the session?
Mm, lost. Um, I want to emphasize the importance of the transparency in the managing the L1 supply. The community needs regular updates on the changes in ensure policy, current unlock schedule, and long-term economic chasing to build trust in the ecosystem. Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming on today for this kind of optional debate. As a reminder for everyone, voting will kick off next Tuesday, April 1st, and will run 1 week through April 8th, 2025. We have a full list of candidates in addition to Ed and Orochii Ionode. We also have Nestor22, Potter, KCOT 2883, Tony Stern. We have who else? We have Trend, we have X Cafe, we have crypto, we have Another World, and we also have Mitya 666. I will say Mitya 666 and KCUT 2883 have not yet claimed any of their candidate channels or filled out their forms. So if you're listening in and are one of them, you'll need to do that, or we're going to boot you from the next phase of the election. But fabulous candidates, I think, particularly just as a shout out to Trend, they published a really long manifesto that kind of lays out their thoughts and vision for the platform that I really recommend that folks check out if they're looking to kind of get a full view of the candidates. And yeah, I think, let the campaigning continue. Feel free to reach out to the candidates directly on their individual campaign channels with questions and follow-ups. And I'll make sure to also provide this question list to all of our candidates who couldn't make it today to potentially kind of respond in their own time. We've got a lot of folks from all around the world who are participating in this election. So we want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to, listen in and all of that. Thank you all so much for joining. Again, for more information on the election and how to get involved, I think the easiest way to do so is to just go on lamina1.com/elections. We've got a help drawer with all of the guides available, as well as I'm going to drop in kind of 2 resources that we've compiled for community members, both in the L1 Users and Developers Guide, as well as the Lamina1 Medium that'll give you a full overview on what the elections are all about, how voting works, how everything will be counted. So really appreciate you both from coming on. Thank you so much. And, best of luck to all of our candidates.
Thank you for organizing this, and thank you for everybody in the audience who came today.
Yeah, thank you for giving us opportunity to participate in the process and vision. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. See you in the feeds.